So welcome to our first Saturday Singles mini podcast here at Viva Alberto's. I am your host today, Jason Hill, or as you know me, at VEB, JP Hill, and also on Twitter, JP Hill_cards. And our guest today is the very own Kyle Reis of Birds on the Black and Twitter at Kyle R416. And now, most recently, of the Bernie Miklasz Show. You're a star, my friend. You're everywhere.
How disgusting. What is this right there? I'm embarrassed is what I am.
Yeah. Well, we love your stuff. And obviously you were, the inspiration for many of our articles here and many of the things that I've written recently. But I just want to kind of take a second and explain what this is because it's our first one. Saturday Singles, it's really just supposed to be a short way for you to have something you can listen to on your car, or if you're out mowing the lawn or out on the boat on a Saturday, something fun, something lighthearted that you might not have time to sit down and read an article, but you could throw this on and give it a listen. And one of the things that I've noticed, and Kyle, you're critical to this, is that most of my ideas, and I'm sure Blake and Gabe and the other writers would say the same thing, we're all a collective community. I mean, there's a huge rivalry, right, between Birds on the Black and Viva Alberto's.
Exactly, right.
It's right. But it's a rivalry of friendship. I mean, we're collaborators. We work together. We help each other. We're just trying to enjoy this Cardinals baseball thing and understand it better. And so I thought it might be great, instead of me sort of thinking about and recycling some of the ideas that I'm picking up from Kyle and Ben Cerruti and other people, just having you guys on and letting you talk about it from the source. And really with these, I really want to have just one topic and I want to get to it fast and get through it. And so the topic today really is sort of a postscript on the article I wrote on Wednesday. And a lot of the stuff that you've been asked about lately and have been talking about on Twitter, which is Jordan Walker and what's going on with him. And if you haven't had a chance, you can read my article on Wednesday, Walker versus Tavares versus Carlson, a prospect Royal Rumble. And then Kyle, tell us about your time with Bernie on Thursday.
Oh man, that was the time of my life. It's the second time I've talked to Bernie on his radio show. It's something that you never think that you'll ever do. It was never a thought in my mind ever growing up, or even being 33, 34, now I'm 35, about to turn 36. Like, it was never a thought in my mind that, one day Bernie will be asking me questions about players. And right. I'm sure you're just like I am. I grew up reading the Post-Dispatch when Bernie wrote for the Post-Dispatch. And
absolutely.
I grew up listening to his radio show and being really critical of him a lot, but very supportive, very apprecitive. Also, give him the acclaim he deserved. But every once in a while, you be critical. I'm a jerk that way sometimes. But to have that opportunity, there's no way to explain what it's like to get the text message asking to be on the show, and then the amount of, and I feel nerves before every interview I do or every conversation I have. I've known C70 for years now, doing what we're doing right now, and I still get nervous every time I talk, before the lead up, before I talk to him. I still get nervous. I haven't done Prospects After Dark in a long time. I get super nervous before Prospects After Dark. Like, it's a whole working through social anxiety. And then now that we're doing this Prospect Macarena thing, I get nervous in front of that. But that's a little different because I feel it's more conversational and a little bit more, less professional almost, not because everybody's involved in it, but because people don't have to feel like they're part of a blog or anything. They can just be Twitter people who have a question or a comment, and we can talk it out. But there's no way to describe what it was like to get the text, to be on Bernie's show, to talk to Bernie, and for Bernie to seem genuinely interested to have me back, which I find terrifying, and also a poor decision on his part if he doesn't.
Right. So Kyle, for those that aren't that familiar with you, because on Viva Alberto's, we've got a lot of people who read and some that aren't on Cardinals Twitter. Maybe they caught you on the Fan with Bernie show and other things. What is it that you do on a nightly basis? Tell the audience what you're going to spend your evening doing tonight.
What I do is I avoid text messages and phone calls from loved ones. That's really the easiest way to put it. No, what I will do is I will sit down tonight. I will fire up. I have two laptops. I will fire up my GIFing laptop. It's just for GIFing. It's a huge deal. It's got, it's powerful, it's strong. My brother Michael bought it for me and gave it to me. It cost a lot of money. I'm so grateful for my brother Michael. And I will sit and on my gifting computer, I will go through every available affiliated Cardinal game available to me. And I will GIF every moment I think is GIF worthy, which is nearly every moment. And I'll do it almost from beginning to end of every game. Last night, I kind of pieced out a little early in the 8th inning of both the Springfield and Peoria game. Springfield's playing Midland, and the Midland broadcast is terrible, and it doesn't have audio. And I guess that's the other thing in all this is I usually have 3 audio feeds going at the same time, and maybe a 4th if Palm Beach is playing, and usually the Cardinal game on. So like when my girlfriend is around and I have it on, it actually causes her anxiety. Like it causes people around anxiety because it's so much going on.
Right.
And it takes me an inning or so to get in to like settle in. But once I settle in, it like I can hear everything kind of all at once. So and then I'm constantly going from tab to tab to tab to tab to tab to tab, like resetting to make sure I don't miss anything. And it's chaos. It is not easy. Some nights are hard. The other night, Peoria put up a bunch of runs. At the same time, Springfield was putting up a bunch of runs, and Memphis was putting up a bunch of runs with 3 important pitchers pitching, organizational pitchers pitching for each affiliate. So every minute there was something to GIF, and it was overwhelming. And I had to reset, step away, and get back into it. But yeah, that's how I spend every weeknight at least. Weekends get a little different, but every weeknight during the minor league season.
Yeah. And you get to know the players and their ins and outs, their skills, and write about them then on Birds on the Black. And your Dirty Flirty came out. We've referenced that a lot. What's that, Kyle?
That's the little prospect list that I put together for Birds on the Black. Yeah, I try to do one at the beginning of the season, and I try to do one at the mid-season. And it's usually the Dirty 35. And I think when we do the mid-season rankings, we'll probably go back to the Dirty 35.
Yeah.
We decided to do 40 because of the nature of coming back from COVID. The entire 2020 minor league season was lost. And when it came back in 2021, not only did you have a minor league season lost, but you also had minor league contraction for the first time. 2021 was the first year that the short season affiliates, other than the complex league, didn't exist. There were no more affiliations.
Yeah.
So there was less information to take in, less readily available information. And in the very nature of the very nature of the 2020 season being lost in 2021, trying to recover that, so much trying to make up for a lost season, it just seemed right to cover 40 prospects. We ended up covering 99, which I did not expect. It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
And I guess technically 98 once Nick Plummer was given his was allowed to go to the Mets, basically.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, and all it is what I do. I give my general thoughts on the players. I add the GIFs that I've been doing throughout the entire year into the article. Most of the time it's random. A lot of times, like during a game, like during the season, say tonight, Jordan Walker makes an amazing diving play. On a little notebook, I might put like Walker 6-922, because when I save every GIF into my computer, I put the date after it. So in the computer, it might be Walker dive play 6-922. So then I can go back and put it. But most of the time, it's just random. It's a randomness, a hodgepodge of my thoughts on the Cardinals prospects, along with some visual aids, which again, I'm a terrible writer, and I don't, that's not fishing for a compliment. I need to take English as the second language to make it my first official language. But at least the GIFs give some type of visual aid to overcome my poor writing.
Yeah, well, we've talked about your writing before. I've got thoughts on your writing. I think it's a lot better than you lead on. You've got a very defined, as a writer, right? You've got a very defined voice, and that's the key. That's the key, And I love to read what you write, to be honest, and I love the gifts. But hey, this is a mini podcast format. I could talk to you all day, as you know.
Awesome.
Let's jump into our topic. And first of all, I've really got 3 questions for you. The next 2 are kind of from our readers at Viva Alberto's, but the first one, I just wanted you to be yourself. And you've done this for a long time. I'd like to let you have a chance just to react a little bit to what you're seeing from Jordan Walker right now. So go.
When you say right now, I think right now is the key word, because he's coming into his own. Like he he was taking a lot of balls to the opposite field, maybe getting himself into some bad counts, but he never suffered. And I think that was the tell for me.
That was key, wasn't it? Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
The slug wasn't there, but over the last 23 games, all he does is multi-hit game. And he's starting to turn on baseballs, which is brand new for him at Double-A so far this year. Even in Peoria last year, after he got promoted from Palm Beach to Peoria, he was still maybe a little bit more defensive in his swing than I'm prepared for a slugger to be. But I think that tells you more about just what he's capable of than anything else.
Exactly. That's why I thought the same thing. Yeah.
His hit tool is more advanced than his power tool. And every indication is that he's going to grow into his power tool. And every indication is that it's happening right now. And it's really exciting. He doesn't swing hard. He never sells out. He just has a powerful, quick swing, and that does all the work that you need it to do. And it's a beautiful thing to watch. He's fascinating. You can tell he's putting in the effort, the work. With being as big and as powerful as he is, he doesn't carry it in a bulky manner. He runs around. And over at third, he has some issues throwing the baseball in particular. It's more than a footwork issue. It's an arm angle, arm slot, footwork issue. But to see him dive around and move around over at third base, and to watch him run around the bases, not just steal bases, which he's very good at. I think yesterday it was in the minor leagues, that was number 27 in 32 opportunities. I think that's what it was. I think I tweeted
Something
that out.
like that, yeah.
But he not only, but I think that also gives you an idea of what his instincts are on the base paths, because he knows when to go. And he's studying pitchers to find their tells and to take advantage of it. But to watch him go first to third, he's a Clydesdale, a Cardinal term that will resonate to all of Cardinal Nation. He's a Clydesdale. He's a monster. And I think I think eventually we're talking about a kid who will settle into whatever position they decide, even if he manages to stick at third. Say things happen with Arenado and he goes away. This recently turned 20-year-old has every ability to stick at third with just a little bit of work, a little bit of change. And I think that probably tells you what he's capable of if he was forced to move into an outfield position specifically.
Right. And that was the question that came out that I mentioned, got the idea from you a while ago. You've been tossing it around casually for a little while, and I noticed it. I started watching, I started paying attention, I started thinking about it, and then finally decided I kind of agreed with you. And that was this idea, not that we're locking him in, not that he would ever play this position necessarily, but as Walker is getting closer to the majors, people are asking, where's this guy going to play? Because Arenado's pretty much locked in at third, and Goldschmidt, I mean, he's not going anywhere first right now. And then you've got Gorman at second. I don't know about Walker at second, but shortstop, probably not a possibility. You've got your two corner outfields. O'Neill and Carlson are the youngest of the three out there. And so you mentioned something that I then mentioned in my article, and I want to give you the credit for having the origin of the idea, and that is Walker in center field. Why is that not an insane idea?
First, he's young. I know that I like to start there. Yeah, when you're talking about somebody who's played 20, he's not years removed from taking a bunch of fly balls, screwing around with friends. I think that kind of stuff is still very important. So he's young, he's fast, and he's instinctual. He also has a great arm. It's a great arm. Again, the angle gets weird and it causes him to throw the ball away sometimes over at third, but he has a great arm. So again, you prefaced it perfectly, Jason. There's no guarantee that if they were to start there in center, that would be the position he'd stop at.
Yeah. What
I would like, since I also think center can be the easiest of the outfield positions, depending on eyesight, depending on feel, I think that's where I would start him at. Of course, you don't want his bat to suffer ever. And that's why a lot of times a bat of his capabilities goes to a corner. But I see the instincts, I see the age, I see the tools, I see the speed, and he probably has speed similar to Dylan Carlson's, maybe a little faster. And Dylan Carlson's the de facto backup center fielder now. And I think if Dylan can do it, and Dylan, again, talk about instinctual, and I know that Cardinal fans haven't necessarily seen the best of Dylan Carlson just yet.
Yeah.
But the instincts are similar. The baseball IQ is similar. And sure, there might be a rough moment or two between the ages of 20 and 22, 23 that make you think, all right, this kind of stinks. But everything is there that should stick in the Cardinals' mind that this is something worth thinking about and worth trying. So that's why I'm on board for, if you're going to move Jordan Walker, or if you're going to tell him to enter 2023 ready to do something, you tell him, hey, this offseason, just get used to reading line drives in center field and understanding your throwing assignment when you get a baseball, depending on how the bases are jammed or not jammed.
Right.
That's what I would do, and take it from there, because a corner outfield is easy to default to if Tyler O'Neill doesn't rediscover his form or Dylan Carlson falls off the face of the earth. Give him some center. And then, the other thing about that, the Cardinals don't really have another center fielding prospect, not to take anything away from Nootbaar or Burleson. Burleson's a corner outfielder. There's no way around that. He might be a first baseman, but first baseman, corner outfielder. Lars Nootbaar has played center, but I don't know. I'll stay out of that for now. And I don't know. He just seems instinctual, and he seems like he has the ability, and it's not like there's somebody else that's blocking him along the way.
Yeah. Probably the next legit potential star in center might be Baez, and he's hurt and out for and a long way away, because it looks like Mason Wynn's going to stick at shortstop without a doubt now. So
no, I agree, and I don't think he's not the kind of kid that's going to buckle under the pressure. He has all of the fortitude, all of the mind, all of the baseball IQ and the off the field IQ, and the desire and the will and the work ethic to make the most of a difficult challenge.
Yeah. Second question, and you already made this alluded to. This is my last one here. This is supposed to be a mini podcast. We're already maximizing this mini podcast. Jordan Walker's hit tool, and you just said something that I 100% agree with. And I hate to throw, I hate to do this. I hate to throw anybody under the bus, because Fangraphs has a hard enough task, with all the different prospects they have to watch and everything. So no critique here, no criticism of them, but over at Fangraphs, and I noticed this when I wrote the piece, they've got Walker at a 25 present hit tool with a 50 future. And I laugh, Kyle. I laugh because so talk to us about his hit tool and how that's insane.
Yeah, right now this slugging prospect is a hit first prospect.
Yeah,
who's hitting above 300 with above 400 on base percentage, with less than 400 plate appearances or 400 at bats in his minor league career. The reason that it has a 25 grade on it, you go back to the shortened 2020 season when he was drafted, and
he was drafted. Yeah,
exactly. And it just hasn't really adapted from there. I just want to say one more thing about the Fangraphs, to add to what you were saying. Eric Longenhagen does an amazing job for what he's asked to do with the resources he has. And I don't blame him at all for maybe not paying as much attention to the Cardinals, because a lot of times there isn't really a whole lot of reason to pay attention to the Cardinals. When you're talking about players, an organization that maximizes the picks and the talent that the Cardinals do, that's not sexy. Those aren't the prospects you keep an eye on. Those are just the prospects who do better because they're trained better or they have the innate ability that. So I don't blame him for that. And again, I just wanted to throw that out there. But Walker's hit tool is really good. He can use all fields. He can hit everything. I mentioned it before. The two areas, strangely enough, that he struggles with, high sliders and also really loopy breaking pitches. It's almost like he gets slow pitch softball up there, and
too slow for him.
Yeah, it's almost too slow. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so he just needs to kind of adjust a little bit of, here and there, but he hits everything. And he's never overmatched. he gets a little upset when he gets a low strike call on him, but who doesn't, you know? So no, it's just a really good tool with an inside out swing that can still do a bunch of power. It still has enough power with his strength and his bat speed that inside out swing can go for a double. It can go to the opposite field gap for a double. He can take it down to the opposite field line, a fastball inside. I think that fastball inside, being able to take it to the opposite field, that inside out, staying inside of the baseball, as Albert Pujols used to say, I think that tells you everything you need to know about his hit tool. I think in the minor leagues, you know, I always try to tell people that if I were to say above average, like he's above average right now, I always try to emphasize with in the minor leagues, because the minor leagues is a little different. He has a 50 hit tool in the minor leagues right now. It has the ability to be a 60, 70 hit tool in the minor leagues, which means more than likely that it's present 40 in the majors and with the chance to be a 60, 70 in the majors. But if he were to play tomorrow, if he were to be in a series against the Pittsburgh Pirates this weekend, he's not going to do a lot of stuff that's going to blow you away. But if he'd go 2 for 4, he'd strike out twice, and he'd probably have a double, and also run the bases, make a great play. Yeah. So to say that about a 20-year-old, a kid who's been 20 years old for less than 3 weeks, should tell you everything you need to know about how spectacular not only of a hit tool, but of the mental fortitude that he has right now and to build on for the future.
Yeah, it seems like I think Carlson's almost a good example of that, because Carlson was, I would say, a more mature hitter in the minors. But even, I mean, it was really just the last like 3 weeks before he got hurt that I felt like we were really seeing that minor league hit tool of Carlson actually show up in the majors. He's been hot, he's been good, he's had his moments and all, but that was like Carlson right, you know, not just hot but right, and it just takes a while for it to adapt.
That's it. That's the name of the game. You know, just like we talked a little earlier, it's all about consistency. Some of these guys find it. Very few. Some of these guys, you know, they'll find it. Almost all of them don't. Yeah. Even the top prospects, and that was kind of a point I tried to make with Carlson is even if he, you know, the 2020 minor league season or the 2020 major league season stinks. It's a terrible evaluation tool, and it bugs me that people even include that with him.
Yeah, exactly.
When they talk about his career stats.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you're, you know, if he keeps being a 13% above league average player for 10, 15 years, that is actually the definition of hitting on a prospect. A can't miss prospect.
Yeah,
not missing.
Yeah, and that's nearly Ray Langford. I mean, it's not that far away for some. You know, Brian Jordan, really, you know, it's like, yeah, that's fantastic. That'd be awesome.
And that's it, you know, and sure, it's not Mike Trout. It's not a season of Juan Soto or something like that, but that's the kind of player that you build teams are built around. You don't build a team around him, but a team is built around.
Yeah.
So, you're just going to have to be patient, even if he comes up at 21 and he's doing some amazing things, just like with Nolan Gorman. When the younger these kids get brought up with fewer and fewer at bats in the minor leagues or fewer and fewer innings pitched, the more likely there's going to be more struggle ahead of them.
Right.
And that'll happen with Jordan Walker, but it's not going to happen that much. And he's going to be impressive, and he's going to be impressive when it's his time.
Yeah. Yeah. That actually brings me to, I'm not going to ask you this question, but I want you to start thinking about it, because here, the next time we do this, which might be months from now, I want to talk to you about aggressiveness versus patience when it comes to prospect, advancement, because the Cardinals seem like they've gotten incredibly aggressive, and I'm here for it because I love it. But I heard you talking a while back on something about patience, and holding some of these guys back. And I wanted to say, no, but you might be right. So down the road, we'll talk about patience and aggressiveness with prospects. But for today, Kyle, thanks so much for being on our first Saturday single. Great job, man. And we'll be checking out those gifts at Kyle R416 on Twitter, and at Birds on the Black, and at the Pad Prospects After Doc podcast, and everywhere. You're everywhere, man.
Yeah, and don't forget to follow C70. That's what I like to say.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel.
Yeah, exactly. He's right here next to me.
I'm sure he is. Lives in your house, just like Dan and Jim. Exactly the same.
Exactly. Well, no, Jason, thank you for having me. And again, like you, Blake, specifically, Ben Godar. Like, I love so many of the guys over there. I love being a part of that community and being a part of your community. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah. Have a very happy Saturday, Viva Albertos. We'll talk to you soon.